What is going on, everybody? Hope your Veterans Day was fantastic. Thank you for coming in tonight. Do appreciate it. Got my man online Big Blue Sports, Tim from Online Big Blue Sports. Welcome, sir. Thank you for coming on the channel tonight. Appreciate it.
It's always good to be here. It's always fun. It's always interesting. I never know what topics will be coming down the pike. I have a feeling though.
Yeah, I don't ever know either. I always kind of wing these things, but it's obviously we'll talk about the Giants' first half and maybe what they can do in the second half to improve, if anything. Hopefully they can. But it is what it is. We didn't have a very good first half at all, and I don't know. For me, this is it's kind of mirroring last season. Like we started off 1-7 last year. Offense was bad. Defense kind of struggled a little bit. Then the defense found their groove, and we won 5 out of our last 8 games. So it looks like the defense is getting a little better. They've kept us in some games. Definitely the game against Kansas City. I thought they played pretty well. Derek Carr gave us a couple of breaks. Missed a couple wide open receivers, which Tom Brady probably isn't going to give us.
Still standing in the end zone by himself.
Yeah. Tom Brady probably isn't going to give us those opportunities. But I mean, what was your take overall on the first half with the New York Giants?
It was pretty much what I thought it was going to be. I mean, I said 7 wins tops this year. I mean, maybe 8 if they played well. There's games, of course, they should have they had the opportunity to win, but they just didn't find the way to win. And I mean, it's everyone's fault except Daniel Jones.
Yes, of course. Everybody loves Daniel Jones. It is amazing to me. Like before Daniel Jones, it was Odell Beckham. He was like the polarizing figure here with the New York Giants. You either really liked the guy or you really didn't. It seemed like there was no in between. And I feel it's the same way with Daniel Jones. Now, it makes more sense at the quarterback than it does a wide receiver. But I mean, Beckham was our best player for years, and he was really awesome in his prime. Obviously, he's fallen on hard times with injuries, and he's getting a little bit older now. We'll see what he does with the Rams. I think that's a good fit for him. He's always wanted to be in Los Angeles.
29 get older.
When you're a wide receiver in the NFL. Well,
yeah, I know, but
you and I would kill to be 29 again.
I think I've lapped 29. Well, not yet.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. 29. I would kill to be 29.
I wish I was an old 29.
Me too. Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. But so we'll see. I think Beckham may reinvigorate his career, but obviously with Daniel Jones, I think everybody wants him to succeed. He obviously needs to if we're going to be any good. So I understand people want to protect the quarterback and everything else. But, for me, 2.5 years into the NFL and still makes a lot of the same mistakes. I know you've brought it up on your channel, and I've mentioned this before as well, that take 3 games away, and he has 30 touchdowns and 27 interceptions in 32 games. He had 3 great games against the Jets, the Lions, and the Skins. Well, they were the Redskins back then.
Yeah.
And then it's pretty average to below average. So, again, you can't take those 3 games away, but if you look at the body of work, most of the time, it's not there. I think he elevated at a good 1.5 against the Saints. But I mean, I ask the Giants fan base all the time, do you want to give this guy 5 years? Do you want to pay him franchise quarterback money? People can say, oh, the offensive line's no good. Jason Garrett's no good. And we're always hurt. But do you want to pay him not knowing, even if we do have a different play caller and the offensive line is good and the receivers are healthy? Do you really want to pay that guy wondering, is it really all that stuff or is it him?
Oh, yeah. Of course they do. I want to burn through the salary cap. Can we give him $300 million and just call it a day? I mean, and it's one of it's a bizarro world thing because the litmus test is my vision, and that's what I always go with. What I see on the field. And you see him, to your point, making the same mistakes repeatedly. He doesn't go through his progressions. He still has no pocket awareness. It was amazing to me, and I talked about it on my channel, that Jason Garrett switched his game plan so quickly in that first quarter because he knew that Matt and Nate could not hold the edge. And he knows that Daniel Jones has no blind side or front side awareness. Mm-hmm. I mean, he needs to climb the ladder in the pocket. And he needs to step up when the rush is coming from the edges. He just doesn't do it. And I've been saying this ad nauseum. Go watch the Kurt Warner video from the Washington game when he broke down Daniel Jones and the Giants offense. And the video is 14 minutes long. The first 2 minutes is about Jason Garrett and everything that he could possibly do better. The last 12 minutes is all about Daniel Jones and what he didn't do. But if you talk to some fans, they only saw the first 2 minutes. They skipped the last 12.
Right.
And that kind of worries me about Daniel Jones's career. And to your point, if you take away those 3 games, he's average, and that's being nice, to below average. I used I thought it was a good analogy. I used it the other day. I played baseball in high school. I was a terrible baseball player. I mean, I was god awful, but I was a good defensive catcher. First game of the season, I went 3 for 3. And it was not a solid 3 for 3. It was just 3 for 3. And then the coach, with his brilliance, is like, well, we're going to keep playing him. I went like 1 for 16 after that, but I was still batting 210. So did that mean I was a wonderful catcher, that I was consistent, that I was going to be signed by the major league? No, I still sucked. And all my deficiencies were still there. They were just masked by that one game. And I think a lot of people are holding on to 19, holding on to those 3 games, and kind of just holding out hope that he is going to progress into something. But I mean, I don't know about you, but you try to be nice. Well, not always, but you try. and it's just one of those things, you just don't see it. And like I said, if someone out there, and I've always said, if you could prove me wrong with some statistical data or show me something on film that he's progressed in, I want to see it. But every time I bring that up to someone, they're like, well, he had these great games in 19. Okay, well, that was going on 2.5 seasons ago. What has he done now outside of the Saints game?
Right. Yeah, I agree. Zachary, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you, my man. He says the Giants media bubble is insane. You think Daniel Jones had 500-yard game the way they talk about him? The Giants defense leaves way too many guys open. I think that's a product of the zone, honestly. Which drives me crazy. Well, who else we got in here? I see my man Double Easy from the 518, always representing the 518, upstate New York. J Ham, Afghanistan. Philip Chen, Joseph Karastonovich. What's going on, buddy? Thank you for being here, guys. Cyprian Alvarez, Dan D. He says you're probably still a better catcher than Gary Sanchez. That's probably a fact.
Well, I'm not going to lie.
Mario, what's going on? Johnny Cage fatality. All right, so let me do this. So I told you right before the stream, we're going to have a little bit of fun here. So I did the post-game video, and I say Daniel Jones threw for 110 yards, and that type of performance to me is not a franchise quarterback, in my opinion. I just don't believe he is. I don't believe he's the guy going forward. He may go to a different team, and he may light it up, but I don't think that the Giants can give him all that money, seeing as we're maxed out on talent, because our salary cap situation in 2022 is terrible. So it's not like he's getting any more talent. He has to hope that the talent stays healthy.
You're not allowed to talk about salary cap. You're not allowed to talk about
of course.
Let me.
I'm going to read some of these. I think I have 5. I tried to put line of screenshots up here to put them on here, but I can't. It would just line up across the middle. I could not move them. I don't know really how to work StreamYard as far. I can do it with OBS, but I can't really do it. So I'm just going to read these to you. So here's the first one. I know I'm going to get your opinion on each one of these comments. This guy. And I don't give him any shine. I'm just going to read the comment. I'm not going to give the commenter. He says, what the F are you even talking about? Daniel Super Bowl Jones, put some respect on his names. Mahomes has a 100-yard game. Is he trash? Now, I don't remember Mahomes having a 100-yard game, but what do you think about that comment?
Well, Mahomes won an MVP, went to 2 Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl. Has led top 5 offenses. I give Patrick Mahomes a little bit of slack if he's having an off season. Daniel Jones took him till this season to beat a team with a winning record. You throw for, and I'm gonna have to put some respect on the Daniel Jones moniker. And I said it before, and I said I'm not trying to be mean, but he's just not the guy. And for someone to think that you could compare him to Patrick Mahomes. Whatever they're smoking or drinking, please send some down this way.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that. I like that. Here's another one. That's kind of what I thought too. I'm like, I think Mahomes' body work is a little better.
A little bit better.
I think he's got a little bit more in the tank. Just a little bit. I don't remember him ever having a 100-yard game either, unless he got hurt or something.
Yeah, no, he had some this season. I mean, he's had some bad games, but
of course he has. He's on my fantasy team. I'm a jinx, man. I had Henry Ruggs on my fantasy team. Of course.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't know. Hopefully you don't have OBJ anywhere.
I do not. And here's another one. This one says, "Hey, Bad Dog, just letting you know Dak Prescott threw for 96 yards against Denver. So I guess he's not a franchise quarterback. Ha, you make me laugh, boy. Keep up the bad work."
But at least he thinks your work is bad.
Yeah.
I would be, if someone said that about my work, I'd be ecstatic. I'm like, whoa, someone thinks I'm bad. that's one step above what I usually get. Again, Dak Prescott, he's since his rookie season has a body of work. A lot of people will say the first 2 years were because of Ezekiel Elliott, but he has progressed. He has matured. He has learned how to be an NFL quarterback, and he learned it with the anchor of Jason Garrett. So, I mean,
exactly. So did Tony Romo.
Yeah,
amazing, right? It's amazing. All right, that's kind of what I think about. And here we go again. Here's another one. It says again the comparison to Mahomes. I don't know what the deal is. It says, "Have you been watching the Mahomes? He makes $50 million a year, and I believe he had 79 yards in the first half today. Oh, and DJ outplayed him last week too. Am I saying Jones deserves franchise money now? But my point is, because he had 105 yards today doesn't mean he's not a franchise quarterback either. They won. He made some big plays when they needed him. I'm convinced that Garrett is the one holding him back after watching this game."
Knew it. I knew it was Jason Garrett. I knew it. It's almost like I'm going to create a button called Jason Garrett scapegoat. I knew it. What's funny? And no one's going to remember. You'll probably remember. But in the '81 season, the Giants went to the playoffs for the first time in a century, and they beat Dallas. And Scott Bruner, God bless his soul, threw for 3 touchdowns, but he completed 9 passes the entire game. So, you look at that body of work and you're like, wow, he threw 3 touchdown passes. But then you look at the fact that he threw for 9, he completed 9 balls for like 110 yards. That didn't make Scott Bruner the Giants quarterback. And I don't think he did very well after that.
No, he did not.
I mean, he gets replaced by Phil Simms, and Phil Simms goes on to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
I mean, it's just crazy. And I don't understand it. And like I said, I get the same comparisons all the time with Mahomes. It's almost like there is still that bias or that hatred for Mahomes because we didn't draft him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not our fault. I mean, that's the front office's fault, but that's not our fault that we didn't draft him. All right, I believe this is the last one. I thought I had 5. I have 4. So here's the last one. This one says, "Josh Allen had 260 yards versus the Jags. Oh wait, he still lost." What do you think about that?
Well, Josh Allen got beat by Josh Allen.
Right.
I mean, every quarterback's going to have their off day. But again, look at Josh Allen's progression from year 1 to year 2 to year 3. And then they're going to say, well, he added Stephon Diggs and he's got the defense. He's got this. The Giants are supposed to have a defense. And, and at times the defense shows up when the secondary plays well, and helps kind of mask our issues with the pass rush. But everyone's going to have one off day. Daniel Jones has off days repeatedly. And anywhere outside of the New York media, Daniel Jones, you would be making fun of Daniel Jones. I mean, someone asked me about Jalen Hurts the other day, and I was like, and I didn't know that he had over, at that point in time, he had 10 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And they asked me, which one would you want, Daniel Jones or Jalen? I said, neither. I said, but then I kind of looked back at some of the film, and I'm not saying Jalen's going to be, the next Randall Cunningham or Ron Jaworski or anything like that, for Philadelphia, but he does show at times a skill set, and he does show that he has the mobility and the wherewithal to complete a pass and look downfield.
He just can't throw downfield. That's his problem.
Well, you know what? I mean, that's now you're just being mean. You're just picking things apart.
I watched Jalen Hurts a lot in college. I
was going to say you're an Oklahoma fan.
Yeah, I kind of knew what he was going to be. But this is one thing, and I always kind of laugh when Eagle fans compare him to Daniel Jones, because I'm like, what? So you're comparing him to Daniel Jones. It doesn't say a lot about Jalen Hurts because they have no respect for Daniel Jones. And to your point, I believe you're correct. If a Giants fan actually sat there and was not a Giants fan and looked at Daniel Jones, would you? I mean, you like. I think you mentioned as one of your streams or one of your premieres. If you're not a Giants fan, anybody outside of this fan base, do you think any fan base is going, God, I want Daniel Jones on this team? I'm dying to have Daniel Jones on this team.
I've mentioned this before. I mean, I know people all across the world. I talk to people every day, and it's funny though because I was talking to someone in Detroit, and they have Jared Goff, and and I asked them, would you rather have Daniel Jones? And the response was no. they're like we'll put up with Goff until we can get somebody else, but no, I don't want Daniel Jones. And it's the weird thing, and I always say I'm not trying to pick on people, but I haven't. A lot of times when people leave these comments, and I've said this a million times, it's because their point of reference is Eli Manning.
Right.
That's all they know. You have a quarterback that was here for 16 years. If you started following the team consistently, then you only know Eli. You only know the Super Bowls. You only know the 50,000, the almost 50,000 yards, the touchdowns, the interceptions, and everything else. That's your point of reference. You have no other point of reference. You don't remember, and you and I have talked about it. You don't know the Kent Grahams, the Danny Cannells. You heard of the Dave Browns, the Craig Mortons. You have the Scott Bruners. You have the Jeff Rutledges. You haven't seen these guys. You only know one guy. So when we finally get to draft somebody, it's their quarterback. I've said it before. Like in my lineage of Giant football, my quarterbacks are Phil Simms and Eli Manning, because I was there in '79 when they drafted Phil Simms, and in 2004 when Eli Manning. We went through that progression as well. But I saw the garbage in between, so how difficult it is to find a franchise quarterback. And sometimes, I mean, how long have the Jets been looking for a franchise quarterback? They seem to draft a franchise quarterback every 5 years.
The Bears,
the
Lions. Yeah, they kind of had one with Stafford, but
the Bears don't have the organization didn't fare too well around him.
Right. James Tortorella, thank you, my man. Appreciate you. He says DJ has had the worst offensive lines in football from the start. So I'll want your opinion on this, and then I'll give my opinion on this offensive line thing.
Evidently, the Raiders have a terrible offensive line, and in some ways, the Raiders have a worse offensive line than the Giants. And they almost, if he hits, if they floats the ball to the tight end in the end zone who burned Bradbury, and he hits the running back in the flat, this is a different score. This is a different game. And this is a guy that has a terrible offensive line, Derek Carr. The offensive line is yes. If you have a bad offensive line, there's no way around that. The Giants' offensive line has not been good. The Giants' offensive line wasn't good for Eli Manning's last 4 or 5 seasons. It wasn't good really in 2011 either. But it's the quarterback. I always revert back to 2004 with Eli Manning when he took over for Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner used to get sacked repeatedly in 2004, because he looked too far down the field. He kind of had the same problem with Daniel Jones. He just didn't know when to get rid of the ball. Eli Manning come in and the sack total dropped, and it was a bad offensive line in 2004, but it wasn't like all of a sudden they got better because Eli Manning was playing. No, Eli Manning was getting rid of the ball quickly. He was either checking down or throwing the ball away. The problem I see with Daniel Jones is even if you have a poor offensive line, you still have time in the pocket. He still holds on to the ball way too long. I still call him the mad patter, because he takes that ball and if you watch him, he's patting the ball. He's patting the ball. And usually that's a nervous tick. I always talk about Mackie Sasser trying to throw the ball back to the catcher. Right. It's a nervous tick that he's looking downfield and he's just not making the progression in his brain and moving forward. And you could have the greatest offensive line in the world, but if you can't make your decisions, and your first decision is either to, if your primary is not open, to check down or just run or fumble, that's not a progression in your career. So you can blame the offensive line to a point, but you can also combat it with, quick passes. You can also combat it with, and the same thing with the other game. I even said that they were going to use a rolling pocket. And that's exactly what they did that week. They rolled the ball. They rolled them out because the Giants could not contain the interior rush. So there's ways around it, but your quarterback needs to adapt. You can't everything. You know what? There's so many people in this league who've had bad offensive lines. Patrick Mahomes had a bad offensive line last year, and they went to the Super Bowl.
Right. Justin Herbert has a bad offensive line in Los Angeles.
Terrible offensive line. But he can still. But somehow these guys can still figure it out. But Daniel Jones, if it's I always say, if it's not 78 degrees and sunny with no wind, that's just, Daniel Jones can't perform.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. What I'm going to say is this. Our offensive line sucks. It sucked for years. So I get him and needs to be fired. He said he'd fix the offensive line. He certainly didn't. It's a terrible offensive line when we're 100% healthy, and it's been beat up. There's no question offensive line stinks. But Daniel Jones is under duress every single time he drops back. He does it. It's not like he has 2 seconds or a second to throw the ball every time he drops back. On the fumble, he had plenty of time to step up in the pocket. This past week, he had plenty of time to step up and get away from the rush, and he didn't. He had 3 seconds plus. It's not like when Daniel Jones hits his back foot and he's getting knocked down, what can you do? That is the offensive line. But that doesn't happen on every play. And to Tim's point, again, maybe this goes back to Jason Garrett, or maybe it goes back to Daniel Jones, but you need to get some quick outs and some screens and other things to combat the offense, that pressure that ends up on Daniel Jones because of the fact that the offensive line is very good, but he's not under pressure every single play. And then when that happens, and the same people want to say, well, the receivers aren't getting open. And my point to that is, how do you know? We don't know where the receivers are unless you go back and look at the tape like Joe Judge, unless you're going back and looking at the tape, because I can't see where everybody is in the field and when they're open and when the ball's supposed to be thrown. In the NFL, you're supposed to throw the receiver open. One step is wide open in the NFL.
Right.
So Daniel Jones needs to throw the ball before the guys are out of the break, and that's the way I've always looked at it. Sometimes he does make a really good throw, and sometimes he doesn't. But that's the biggest problem with him, is you just don't know from play to play what you're going to get with him. He may look great. The throw to Evan Ingham was perfect.
Yeah,
the touchdown throw was perfect. But then he throws some passes where you're like, what the hell was that? So that's my thing, though. That's the whole point about him being a franchise quarterback. I don't think a franchise quarterback is, he plays good sometimes, and other times he's no good.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult situation. He's going to be here next year. I'm not saying dump him. I know you like Malik Willis. I'll be honest, I don't know much about Malik Willis, so I can't speak to Malik Willis at all. Okay, I don't watch Liberty. I know he had a bad game against Mississippi.
But he was sacked 9 times. He threw 3 interceptions. And I pointed this out about this because everyone came on the channel after the Ole Miss game, and they were like, "Well, see, Malik Willis is terrible. See, I told you he was terrible." And it's like, okay, we had one bad game. He has no offensive line. He has no defense. He has no running back, and he has no wide receivers. And he still put up 14 points. He was going to score another touchdown at the end of the game. Even though he was having a bad game, he was under duress constantly. But I laughed because there was some articles about some NFL scouts after that game that said they were more impressed with Malik Willis after that game than they were off some of his best games, because of the fact that he has zero help. He's playing the 16th ranked team, and he's still trying to move the ball, and he's still doing it with no talent around him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still making plays. And the problem is Daniel Jones, you try to fix the offensive line. You try to give him weapons. You give him some consistency, having the offensive coordinator for 2 seasons. You're trying to build them up. But the problem is, if everything is, like I said, if everything's not 72 degrees and sunny and perfect, and he's got a clean pocket and the wide receiver's open, he's more than likely not going to make the play. And I mean, and I agree, he's going to be here probably for year 4.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see the Giants moving anywhere with him in 2022 because of the salary cap situation and the fact that if he hasn't progressed by now, you are what you are after a period of time.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Just say hello to a couple more people. Amazing guy, Spencer Croce, Jeffrey. Oh, I knew Jeffrey'd be here. He says
Jeffrey's always here.
On Tim. He goes, oh, this is going to be a Daniel Jones love fest. I'm in. I knew. Jeffrey loves it.
It's like he's got a sonar.
He loves it. Young man, Afghanistan, Mike Gorga, AB, Greg Harris, Jeff Charles. Thank you guys for tuning in. Zachary, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. He says, my opinion, Judge is holding back Jason Garrett. He has a lot to do with it, in my opinion, because like you said, and I mentioned this at the beginning of the year, it's not like Jason Garrett does not run his game plan through Joe Judge. Right. It's not like Jason Garrett just goes, I'm going to do this, and Joe Judge doesn't know anything about it.
Right. It's the philosophy of the head coach that is the edict that is dictated to the coordinators. I learned that when I worked in Tampa, and I got to watch it firsthand. John Gruden was John Gruden. He was in charge of everything, and his game plan was then passed down to his coordinators, who then were tasked with running the game plan. I've said it a million times. I think Joe Judge is basically saying, let's not have Daniel Jones hurt us. Mm-hmm. Let's play conservative. Let's play consistent. and let's win on defense. And let's not have Daniel Jones be the reason why we lose the game.
Right. Yeah, and I brought that up with Chris before. I've said, do you think that Daniel Jones is not Joe Judge's pick? He was not Jason Garrett's pick. He was for Shurmur and Gettleman, and these guys have come in. Maybe they don't see what Pat Shurmur did. Maybe their system doesn't fit Daniel Jones' skill set. But again, the Pat Shurmur thing, they can say he threw 24 touchdowns and 12 picks, which are great numbers. But again, take those 3 games away, he threw 11 touchdowns and 12 interceptions in the other 9 games, and he was 3-9 as a starter. So again, he had 3 good games. We had 9 not so good games, and that's 75% of your games aren't very good. But that's why I always say statistics can be skewed huge. Jalen Hurts' statistics are skewed. He has 10 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, but 5 of them touchdowns have come with 4 minutes or less to go in the game, and them down by 3 or more touchdowns or 2 or more touchdowns when it's garbage time. Yep. They were down 33-7 to the Raiders. They were down by 24 against Cowboys, and he's a great fantasy quarterback because he gets you those points. Tannehill was that guy for me in Miami. But again, those statistics look pretty good, but they're not as good as they look because look when he's getting the yards, the game is already decided. If he was getting those yards. The one thing I'll say about this, and I think you've mentioned this too, Daniel Jones is mobile, but he's not a scrambler.
No,
he doesn't scramble away from. It's rare that he scrambles away from pressure. Most of his yards are on, planned running plays.
It's design run to take advantage of the over aggressiveness of the defense, and that's why if you see most of his big runs are against Philadelphia, because Philadelphia has been running the same defense for years, and the Giants understand that they are going to be over aggressive with their rush. And if you can take advantage of that, you're going to pop a big play. I've said it a million times. Daniel Jones is like a point guard who can't create his own shot. He just can't. He has to, and he's got great downhill speed, but the acceleration's just not there until he gets running.
Right.
I've said it a million times. I had a 76 Oldsmobile. That car was the fastest car in the world as long as you got it going down a hill. And then as soon as you pop the clutch and get going, then I can get up to 55 like no one's business. But Daniel Jones, he just can't create in the pocket. He doesn't have the wherewithal to understand, okay, the rush is coming from the sides. I step up. It's coming from this end. I roll this way.
Right.
And it's almost like he gets into a panic mode when he can't figure out which way to go in the pocket. And I've seen quarterbacks like that early in their career. And you've seen them kind of progress and gain the awareness. It's just, I don't know about you, but I literally do not see any progression with him in the pocket. I get concerned when he's in the pocket too long because that's usually when bad things happen.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Jeff, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says, I think you guys need a head coach like Vrabel in New York. I don't know, man. I don't know. Joe Judge, I was so high on that guy last year, so low on him this year, as usual. That's usually my EKG machine. That's me. All over the place. But I just think Joe Judge has done a poor job this year. And it started right from the beginning of the year when he challenged a scoring play against Denver, which sent me through the roof because I'm like, how do you preach all this execution and this and that, and you throw a challenge flag, you don't know the rules, and then you have your defensive lineman jump off sides on a game-winning field goal, and they get to do it again, and we end up losing the game. And how do you say the headsets haven't worked for 8 weeks, and you don't have some kind of backup plan at some point to say, well, if these go out, we're going to do this? And
there's no hand signals anymore. You can't run the play into the huddle anymore.
Big cue cards that the college uses.
They used to use those in Philadelphia when Chip Kelly was here, when he had the Rocky Balboa cards and stuff.
Did they?
They don't run that stuff. You can't do that anymore. That's not allowed. And then I don't understand. You were a special teams coach for almost the entirety of your career.
Right.
The Giants are the second most penalized team on special teams with 11. How can you preach that you are a special teams guy, and you are the second most penalized team in the league, and you preach discipline? That's like me telling my son, don't eat that cookie, but I'm handing him a cookie at the same time.
Right.
That just doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it's strange. The Resident Jizza, Ghostface killing, old dirty bastard. I know you're a big Wu-Tang fan, Clan, right?
Oh yeah,
Wu-Tang Clan. There you go.
oh
That's
yeah.
all. That's
Oh,
that.
no, I think it's funny though because if anyone's ever watched the stream, they know I'm always talking about old school hip hop, and I usually rap halfway through the show.
There you go. So I know that one. He says only 110 yards and yet another fumble. Pathetic. It wasn't good.
No,
Put it that way. It wasn't good. Jeremiah, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says, thank you for being a member for 7 months. He says, it would sure be nice to have Barkley living up to the hype. It'd be nice to have him healthy.
and it's and I have a question about that for you.
Yes.
Is he injury prone or unlucky? Saquon Barkley.
He's unlucky.
That's
I mean, it's just unlucky. The ACL is bad luck. Yeah. Obviously, that's not injury prone. That's just a freak thing. And then stepping on a guy's foot after the play's over and twisting your ankle when you're kind of letting up and you just step on a guy's foot. It's bad luck to me. I don't think he's injury prone at all because it's not like he's having hamstring issues or core issues or a strained calf. It's these ridiculous things. He, like I said, it tears his ACL. He steps on a guy's foot. He gets hit weird and sprained his ankle his second year with a high ankle sprain. Like, I don't think that's his fault. If he had like Kenny Golladay, that may be injury prone. But the constant, I hurt my hamstring. Oh, my groin hurts. My calf hurts. Whatever the hell it is. I think those guys are injury prone. But I think Saquon Barkley's just had a couple of ridiculously freak things that happened to him, and hopefully he comes back and he's healthy the rest of the year. That's all we can hope for as Giants fans, So I don't know. Jatan Tochi, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. Any offensive lineman in free agency? Who do you prefer in free agency or draft? Well, we don't have any money to sign anybody.
Yeah, I would say it's going to have to be the draft. I mean, we have 43 players under contract for $203 million right now against a projected cap of 208. And the last time I checked, you needed 53.
Right. By the way, if you guys haven't done so, do me a favor. Make sure you subscribe to Online Big Blue Sports. I'm sure my mods will be dropping the link in the chat at some point, but his link's right down in the description. First thing in there, so make sure you subscribe to him. He does a lot of live streams now. You enjoy that, don't you? It's fun, right?
It's funny. I always hated the live. I really did hate the live streams. I really do. I mean, but it's just gotten to a point now where it gets interesting. Mm-hmm. And I never, of course you have hundreds of people. I mean, even more than that in your live stream. So, we have anywhere between like 70 to 200, from now and then. So it's just interesting to get a difference of different opinion because it's hard when you're reading just the comments. Because usually there's no rebuttal. Well, a lot of times there is a rebuttal, but it's not an instantaneous rebuttal. And I love that because of the fact that there's so many people that have so many great opinions, and it's like I miss them in the comment section, but you then get to go through them. Plus, I get to talk for 2 hours. So I mean, that's
right, it's always fun, right?
Give my wife a break. Do
you have someone you prefer in the draft? Like me, I like Neil. And I really love Tyler Linderbaum. I mean, that's really the guy. We need a center bad. And I love Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa. I've had my eye on him for a while. I loved Creed Humphrey as a freshman in Oklahoma, and I wanted us to draft him this past year, but obviously that didn't happen. But I'm a big fan of Tyler Linderbaum. Is there an offensive lineman that you look at and say, maybe the Giants should draft him, or somebody you would look at and say we could use him on the offensive line?
Well, right now, anyone.
Well, true. Do you have a preference?
I don't really have a preference because my concern is this, and this has been going on the last couple seasons, and I know you can't draft scared, but we keep spending these picks on offensive linemen. We keep spending these picks on projected talent. We keep spending these picks on guys that are going to be all pros 3 years down the road. Mm-hmm. And I've said it before, we need immediate talent. And yes. I look at some of the people in the draft, and some I will think could potentially be immediate talent, but I get gun shy with the Giants because when really is the last, I'm not even going to say great, but really good. And I don't really count Justin Pugh, but what is the last really good offensive lineman the Giants drafted who even had any consistency over like a 5-year period?
God, I couldn't even tell you.
It's
Jumbo Elliott.
That's what I was thinking. Will Roberts,
yeah.
Jumbo Elliott. I was thinking that's what I was thinking, and I get leery that we keep swinging and missing on these guys. And I don't know if it's the scouting department. I don't know if it's just, again, bad luck. But it's almost like I want to stay away from offensive linemen. I want to get a linebacker. I want to get 2 linebackers. That's what we need. And then this is what we've needed for going back to Jerry Reese. He would take the late round draft choices, and guys would come in and fill in for a couple of years and disappear. But we have no consistency or continuity for any of that. We need to find something that, like I said, I don't know. I just want to stay away from the offensive line.
How about this kid out of Georgia, Nakobe Dean? There's a linebacker. I keep joking around saying the Giants, because I go to Uncle Lou's channel all the time. He's a big college football video maker and a streamer, and he's a Georgia fan. And we always take a Bulldog every year. Andrew Thomas, DeAndre Baker, what's that?
It wasn't Carter?
Yes, Lorenzo Carter.
Yeah.
That was the other guy I was thinking of. So Nakobe Dean, Bulldog. I mean, we have to take somebody from Georgia. Jordan Davis, maybe. I don't know. They got a really good defense in Georgia. So
I was going to say they may have a defense that's on par with ours, at least at the linebacking.
It's pretty damn good.
It's not bad at all. I mean, I'm not a big Georgia fan, but I watch a lot of Georgia games as well. I mean, and like I said, their defense is something that, especially for a college team, it is special. And also the linebackers play extremely well, and they play solid, and they actually play like they know what they're doing. They know what their assignments are.
Right.
And that would be something that, outside of Blake Martinez, that'd be something great to have here in New York again.
Yeah, that would be. Dash, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says Ravens are struggling tonight against the Dolphins. Yeah, I see the Dolphins are up 6-3. You don't even know I have that game on. I'm hoping Miami wins because Philadelphia has their first round pick. So I'm hoping Miami figures out a way to win a couple of games here down the stretch. It'd be nice if that happened. Mike, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says, okay, so duct tape 5 fat guys together to play offensive line and spend both number ones to move up to take the Liberty kid who plays against weak schedules. Don't think we would need to move up to take him, but
I think he'll be in the mid round. I mean, the mid first round. I don't think we have to go anywhere.
Yeah. Well, we do need offensive line. We're going to see what happens. It's going to be a very interesting offseason for the Giants, depending on what happens here in the second half. But if it's anything like the first half, we're going to have some movement in the offseason for sure. Stan, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says, any quarterback in the draft that could be a better option. He likes Malik Willis. Me personally, I haven't watched Malik Willis play, but there's nobody else that I'm looking at. At the beginning of the year, I was thinking Sam Howell. He's been terrible. Spencer Rattler. He got benched for Caleb Williams. Now, I'm Caleb Williams in 2024. I'm all about it. Caleb Williams is taller. If you guys are not Oklahoma fans, all I'm saying is this: watch Caleb Williams play. Just watch that kid play. He's a true freshman. He's 6'1". He's 205 pounds. He's a combination of Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. He don't run like Kyler Murray. He runs kind of a combination of Baker, but his hip torque and arm strength are stupid like Kyler Murray. It's just ridiculous. The kid is exciting as hell. So 2024, look out for Caleb Williams. I always love my Sooners. What can I say?
I was going to say 20. I mean, you're really going out there for that.
Yeah, no, I love Caleb Williams. He's an exciting player, but I think the Giants, I mean, that's what today's day and age quarterback, I think is a guy that can scramble out of the pocket and then has just a ridiculous arm strength and hip torque to throw on the run accurately. Justin Herbert has it. Kyler Murray has it. I just think it's these guys are good. Russell Wilson's didn't have the strongest arm, but Russell Wilson was always able to do that as well. Your best quarterbacks can do that. And again, I'm just joking around about, kind of joking.
I was going to say,
I don't know where we're going to be in 2024, but if Caleb Williams continues, I'm just saying, just watch that kid play. He's pretty damn good. There's no doubt about that. But
I did want to say one thing because I like I said, I have to defend Malik Willis. I have to defend him. It's not his fault. Well, it is technically his fault that he plays at Liberty, but he doesn't make the schedule for Liberty. And I always say this about a quarterback or any other player in college. If you are playing against what you refer to as inferior talent or lower level talent, you need to play above that talent and above that level. And that's what Malik Willis does at Liberty. You could tell that he is 2 levels above everyone else on that field. If he was not, then you would more be like, you would then at that point in time be like, okay, he's not going to be an NFL quarterback. I mean, the draft nicks already have him going as high as number 3.
Right.
Because of the fact that they're not looking at the talent that he's playing against at Liberty. They're looking at what he is doing to that talent. Because he is, if you ever watch him play, the Syracuse game was a great game. I mean, a great game to go. You know, he got stopped in 4th and 1 by the Syracuse defense, and they lost the game. But he did so many other things to keep his team by himself into the game that he put his team in the position for that 4th and 1. He just couldn't, he just couldn't deliver the mail because of the fact that, like I said, he's got zero help. And that's my thing. I always say that if you got a kid that's in a lower level program, if he's playing above his level, then there's something there. If he's playing towards his level, he's probably going to be working at Home Depot.
Right. Understandable, without a doubt. I don't know much about him, so I can't. I don't watch him play, so I don't know. I just feel like that, and I'm not even an offensive line guy. I'm a defensive guy all the way. You know? But I do feel like this offensive line has got to be fixed, whether that's Daniel Jones back there or somebody else. I feel like the young quarterback does need protection. But again, I'm not saying Daniel Jones getting crushed every time, but it'd be nice if it was more consistent. And hopefully they go out. They have 2 first-round picks. The Bears are 3-6, and we're 3-6. So right now we'd have we'd right around a couple of top 10 picks. And I would hope that with those, whoever the hell comes in here, decides to fix that offensive line or goes offensive line, defensive line. We got to start winning in the trenches, man. No matter how much a game evolves, the game of football is always one of the damn trenches. Always. The fact that we were able to run the ball against the Raiders is the reason we won that game, because we were able to control the clock, own time of possession, and keep their offense off the field, and that kept our defense fresh. And we were able to convert third downs. And Daniel Jones did make a couple of great plays on third down, 3rd and long, and he made a couple of escape plays, and he threw a couple of nice passes. And again, he will show you this from time to time, which is why he's aggravating for me, and which is why some people just will not let go of him and say, they'll blame everything they can but him, because he does show this flashes of, oh, look at what he can do. But you have to look what he can't do. You got to be fair. Like, I try to be as fair as I can. Some people think you're just bashing him. I'm not. I don't feel like being mean. Yeah. I feel like my criticism is warranted for anybody I criticize. I don't just go out of my way to criticize him. If he plays well, hey, I said that he carried us in that Saints game. We wouldn't have won that without him. No, we wouldn't have all the credit in the world. He was the one that 400 yards.
You did something right.
Right. So I'm going to give him credit when they do it well. But if he, I didn't blame him for that. The game against the Raiders, I didn't say, oh, that was a terrible game. I just said, I don't think that's a franchise quarterback performance. And I don't think it is. I think if you're a franchise quarterback, your offensive coordinator, your coach is going to say, we need you to throw a little bit more than this. But the run was working, and I'm glad that Jason Garrett stuck with the run. That was working. Although I'll admit, the way they used Kadarius Toney in this game, I was scratching my head. 3rd and 2 over midfield after you just went down the field, scored. Why are you running him in the Wildcat there with a read option? Kadarius Toney's not a quarterback. How many times, Tim, have you seen in a while? I know high school is a little different than the NFL.
No, it's
a little bit. But like, it's not his job. How many times in your life have you seen somebody line up in the Wildcat and actually hand the ball off?
I was still shocked they ran the wishbone. I was like, where are the 3 horsemen? Where is this? We're going back to the 20s here. Yeah. I mean, I still think Tony's. I still think he's injured. I still think there is something physically wrong with him, and they were using him more like they did Odell a couple of years back. They're using him more as a decoy, and they're trying to throw in a couple of gadget plays for him because it's either the leg or the hand or everything else, or the ankle. But I don't think he's still 100% at this point in time, and I think that's why they're just using him to get him on the field to create an opportunity. And it's like I said, right now it's just not, the opportunities just aren't there, because when he comes in immediately, the defense is keen on 89 because they know there's going to, they know that more likely they're going to try to go to him to make something happen.
Right.
And I mean, I'm not saying it's a lack of creativity for Jason Garrett. I'm just saying the defenses and defensive coordinators are smart enough to know if a guy's not playing consistently and you bring him in 3-4 plays, more than likely those 3-4 plays are going to be designed for him.
Yeah, I just didn't like that. They were running the ball extremely effectively. I don't know why they needed. I didn't mind creativity. If you couldn't run the ball at all with Devontae Booker, then the Wildcat makes sense. But the fact that they were able to run the ball pretty much the entire first quarter, pretty much the entire game, I'm like, why at that point? So Jason Garrett definitely has some play calls.
He's got something you scratch your head about.
Definitely. Hakeem J says, "How do you guys not believe in Daniel Jones?" I think we've discussed that.
I think that's pretty. I mean, I stopped believing in Santa. I mean, how long do I got to keep believing in Daniel Jones? I mean, I think I was 11 when I stopped believing in Santa, so I got to believe in Daniel Jones for 11, for 7 more years.
Like I said, I think it's just, I just think it's inconsistency, and I don't think he's gotten more consistent over the years. I just don't see a guy that has progressed with pocket awareness and presence and being able to roll out when it's warranted and being able to avoid the rush and make a throw. I think he's gotten better at some things, but I don't think he's excelled. And I think part of the problem with Daniel Jones is just the fact he was drafted 6th overall. If this guy was a 2nd-round quarterback, I don't think anybody would be throwing a fit. But the fact that he took a 6th overall, you're expected to do a lot in the NFL as a 6th overall pick.
I have a serious question about Daniel Jones. This is a serious question.
Yes.
It's always bad when I start laughing during my serious questions. What has he progressed in? What is he now doing well from his rookie season in your opinion? And I'm trying to be an ass. I'm not trying to be facetious. I'm just curious.
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's the same things, the same brilliance that he showed you his rookie season. And inconsistencies he showed you his rookie season are still there. Somebody said I'm reaching. I don't know what I'm reaching at. I don't understand. I don't get it. So here's my question. Why could he do this in the Saints game? Why did he have such a great game there? And he didn't have a good game against Atlanta. Why? Atlanta had given up 80 points their first 2 games of the season. How did we only score 14 points? I don't understand it. How can he only score 14 against Atlanta at home? And then he throws for over 400 yards in New Orleans. And New Orleans had a much better defense. How am I reaching? This is the point I try to drive home, is that the inconsistency is there from week to week.
And you're right. And there's no reason for it, because he's the same quarterback. And I've said it a million times. He's a 1-read quarterback. He's a first-read quarterback. Mm-hmm. And if you go back and watch a lot of the Saint games, especially towards the latter half of the game, he was connecting on his first read. He actually had some nice progressions early in the second quarter, but he was connecting on his first reads. And I've said this a million times, and I said this with Shermer. Shermer was smart enough to know what he had. He made him a 1-read quarterback with the check down. And at that point in time, what he allowed him to do was, some days the first read is going to work. It's going to work every time. It's going to work, 60% of the time. 70% of the time, but then you're going to have games where it's only going to work 20% of the time, 10% of the time. I've said it a million times. He's red striping. You watch the top of his helmet, and that red stripe always goes to the first option, and it stays there. It never moves.
Right.
And that's, and that's the thing. I mean, because I love when people point out Josh Allen for Buffalo, because everyone was always like, well, he's going to have the progression like Josh Allen. Josh Allen, you can say, okay, from year 1 to year 2, he became a more accurate passer. Mm-hmm. From year 2 to year 3, he became more comfortable in the pocket, and it continued to increase his accuracy and his awareness. And that's why I was asking the question about Daniel Jones. It's the same with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, if you watch him from his rookie season to year 3, you could see a progression of what he does better each time. He's staying in the pocket more. And then he understands that if he needs to roll out of the pocket, he's making good decisions with the football. He's not forcing it like he did in the first part of his rookie season. Daniel Jones, and I asked the same question to everyone. If he's doing so much better than he was doing his rookie season, tell me what he is doing better. What has he improved on? And no one can ever give me an answer.
I'm sorry. No, that's a great question, but I think Miami just threw a screen pass to a big offensive lineman who got flipped up in the air near the goal line. There's been 2 pass interference calls in the end zone against Baltimore. Whoever the hell number 68 is, he takes one in the hip, he goes down, and he reached. Oh, it's a touchdown for the big man. It
I was
broke.
going to say, I'm just walking it right now.
Dashy, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. He says, what's your top 5 Giants first round selections since 2000? God, I couldn't even tell you. Odell Beckham's the first one I think of.
That's the first one. You know, you got Eli Manning.
Well, we didn't draft him though either.
Oh, well, no, well, that's technically right. You're right.
Chargers drafted him. So
yeah, that's right.
I guess Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers. I was going to say
we were able to get Eli. We didn't have one in 05.
No.
God, I couldn't even tell you who the 06 first round draft pick was.
Well, you got Evan Ingram in there.
Yeah, no, I don't say. JPP definitely
up there.
He's definitely one of them. Probably Justin Pugh. Yeah, but I would imagine.
I mean, he was definitely a first rounder, but I mean, like I said, I mean, at the time, but that's the thing. I mean, it's hard to believe that we can't figure out who would be the best selection since 2000.
Kenny Phillips was 2008. He had a lot of injury problems.
I was like, his career was cut short. I mean,
Hakeem Nicks has to be in there. Hakeem Nicks has to be one.
But again, Hakeem Nicks had injury issues as well.
I know, but this is how bad our draft is.
I mean,
I'm not putting Prince Mukamura in there.
Shockey.
Yeah, Shockey would be one. Yeah.
I mean, that's the only one I can think of. I mean, I can't. I mean, I mean, you could tell how well we draft.
Yeah, right. It's been pretty bad. I guess. I mean, hopefully Andrew Thomas can stay healthy and he can be one of those guys. But that's a great question, Ash. You can tell we haven't drafted extremely well, and this is why we've been in the situation we've been in. Well, you can't miss on all these draft picks. You can't be missing on a 2nd, 4th, and 6th draft pick. It just can't happen, whether that's injury, whether that's the fact that they don't play well at a certain level, whatever it is, you just can't miss. Those guys have got to be massive producers.
When's the last linebacker? Not in the first round, but when's the last linebacker we drafted that's been anything?
Jesse Armstead? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Carl Banks, the last first round linebacker we had. It's the first year I started watching the Giants. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even think of any. I mean, I'm trying to think of someone that was, any type of consistency more than like 2 seasons.
It's been tough. We haven't addressed linebacker in years. It has been years. They got Zimenez, stinks. They got Carter, stinks.
Listen, I still have my O'Shane Zimenez jersey.
It's been
I just tell people now. I just wear it and just show it in the front now and say that's Harry Carson.
There you go. Tyler, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says, imagine we got a Hutchinson and Linderbaum in the first. Yeah, well, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be absolutely fantastic if we could do that. Matt Smith said, "Can Gaskin score? My fantasy team needs it." Zooey, what's going on, buddy? How you doing? He says, Cyprian says, our GMs really haven't been able to draft well over this pet. Yeah, that's an understatement. We have been really, really bad. And again, this is how you end up in this situation. And this is why Dave Gettleman has to go. I gave Dave Gettleman a few years because I said, well, he took over a terrible situation. He took over a quarterback at the end of his career. No offensive line. The cap was a mess. All the cap space. Let's give him a few years.
He created some of that mess.
What's that?
He created some of that mess. I mean, you give Odell that money, you trade JPP. I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. He came into a really bad spot, and I think that we're in a worse spot after 4 years. We still don't have an offensive line. We don't know what our quarterback situation is. We have a running back that can't stay on the field. We are strapped for cash in 2022. Now, 2023, it changes, which makes me believe that maybe if they get rid of Gettleman, maybe they don't get a GM. Maybe they just hire Abrams and they keep that crew there for next year. Because what can a new GM do? Like, who wants to come in and take over this situation as the Giants GM, where you're like, you have Daniel Jones.
Yep.
You are stuck. You can't do anything as far as free agent maneuverability because you have no cap space at all. And if you do want to if you do bring in a new GM and he wants to get rid of Joe Judge, what coach is going to come in and go, yes, I want that situation? 2023 may be a different story when you have maneuverability, but the Giants, it may not be that easy to just go out and get a new GM. And that's promise. Maybe Kevin Abrams is the guy they move here for 1 year and then they move on from him. But 2022 is not going to be any better. What you're seeing in 2021, you're going to see in 2022. The only hope that we can have is that these guys stay healthy, and that's it. Because that's the only way it's going to get better is if they're on the field. Because we can't go out and just sign big name free agents. No money.
No, I mean, we can't even move on from any of the guys we have now because the dead cap space is just going to kill us.
Right. So, yeah, you can't. Yeah, exactly. Some people think, oh, let's just dump Shepard. Let's just dump Leonard Williams or whatever. And it's not how it works.
You get rid of the player, but you keep the money. You keep
right.
you keep the salary. Right. You keep it on the salary cap.
I mean, Odell Beckham cost us $16 million a year. We traded him because that was his cap hit. So you do get out from underneath it after the initial season, but you are stuck with that money. Solder won't be here. That'll free up some cap space. Punter's got to go. He's been terrible. That'll save $3.25 million there. He's got to get the hell out of here. But other than that, there's not a lot of unless you're doing what Howie Roseman did, and that's just backload. And then Howie Roseman said, "Got to trade Carson Wentz and free it up."
You know, it's funny though because you brought up the punt. You brought up Riley Dixon the other day when I did the video about the cap space, and I was actually doing the math. But we would have if we waived him and a bunch of other players, we would be down to 33 players, and we would still have only like $16 million in cap space.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. The cap's a mess again, man. He didn't fix the offensive line, and he didn't make this team better. And he's got to get out of here. There's no question. He did a terrible job, and this was a make or break year, I thought, for pretty much all the people on the New York Giants. And so far, it has not been make. Let's just put it that way. They've won 2 out of the last 3. Maybe they're going forward. They have a bye. We're going to talk about the second half in a second. Zachary, thank you so much because we're going to get out of this pessimistic garbage. We're going to talk about
be happy.
Yeah, right. Zachary, thank you, buddy. He says Tim loves film review, guys. Do you? I don't watch film. I can't break it down. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at.
You know, the funny thing is, and I don't want to get into this too much, but when I worked for Tampa and Miami, my job basically was to break down film, break down tendencies, break down, and but I had the plays. They gave you the play. They gave you the formation, and all you were supposed to do is break down the tendencies of each players and chart them. And I always find it interesting because I don't, and it's not that I don't like film guys that do film reviews. I just don't understand how they do film reviews when they have no idea exactly what the play was, what the formation is, what the assignments are, what assignments were missed, whom is covering from whom, if there was an audible, if there was a line shift, so I don't understand how they can do these film reviews. And I did it for a living. I don't understand how they can do it. And I can only do it when I had the charted plays directly in front of me with the formations, right, and the shifts and the alignments.
Yeah, but like with me, I don't pull any. I never say. I say it all the time. I'm not on YouTube to be an analyst. And people get pissed off at me because they say I'm reactionary. But I'm like, listen, my channel is as a fan.
Yeah.
I tell you what I see in a field. And from my knowledge of watching football for 38 years and what I think is good and what I think is bad, it doesn't mean it is. If somebody sees something different than me, they're going to have a different opinion. I'm fine with that. But yeah, I'm not trying to be on ESPN. I'm not trying to break down film. I'm not pretending I know what the hell I'm looking at when I'm looking at a film. Because like you said, I don't know if there's a blocking audible. I don't know who's supposed to pick up who. You can look at all the wide receivers and where they are, but how do you know what the first and second and third read is in that play? How do you know if the quarterback didn't change the play at the line of scrimmage or he did or didn't or he shifted? You don't know. I don't know. I don't pretend to know any of that. I'd be ignorant to go, oh, look at this. He's wide open, but does he have time to locate that? Is it his first read? Is it his fourth read?
Right.
Did the receiver run the wrong freaking route? Because I'm not in the huddle and I'm not on the sideline, I certainly couldn't tell you what that was designed to be. Which is always what I say when they blame Garrett. I'm like, how do you know that Garrett called the play? How do you know that that's what Garrett called? How do you know Garrett didn't say throw it over here and Jones just didn't look over there and he checked it down or whatever? How do you know Jones didn't see the guy when he was wide open? So, it is what it is. Now, some of these screen passes, when we have run a screen pass and we have one wide receiver out there blocking for Elijah Penny, that's kind of just a poorly designed play. Let's throw the fullback a screen pass and have Kadarius Toney blocking for linemen. That probably isn't going to work. But sometimes Jason Garrett definitely calls some plays. I'm like, what the?
Yeah,
hell
he
was
goes
that
for
play
head
design?
scratchers.
But it's not like it's every time. So again, I don't try to break down film because I honestly don't know what the hell I'm looking at. And I would never know. I couldn't tell you, and I don't pretend to know that stuff. Zoo thank you, buddy. He says, "What's going on, guys? How's it going? Do you get the feeling Roche can be a Justin Tuck type player? Seems like we have a better rush recently. He's been good, and I think he should start.
He's been good in spurts, but there have been. I mean, O'Shane Zimenez had 4.5 sacks his rookie season.
Right.
I mean, I want to see him gain, have more. And to your point, I would like to see him start. I'd like to see get him a body of work. I mean, it's easy sometimes to come in later and towards the game and get a sack when you're fresh and everyone else has been playing the last 58 minutes. I mean, so I'd like to see him play. When he's played great, but I'd like to make sure that it's not just in flashes, that he can consistently be on the field.
Right. Young man says, film really gives context and answers to a lot of the questions you ask in your post-game videos, Bad Doug. No, it doesn't, because I just said, and I know you put that as I was saying this, I don't know what I'm looking at. And unless you are in the huddle or on the sideline or know what is called, nobody can honestly look at that film and tell you this was the play. This was missed. That was missed. Or this was actually, you'll know if it's executed perfectly, obviously. But sometimes plays work and they weren't even executed properly.
Right.
But there is no way anybody can sit there and go, yes, this was what Jason Garrett called. How the hell do we know what he called? We don't know. We're watching it on TV. That's it. We don't know what Z right sweep comeback 89 XQY means. I don't know what the hell it means. So I don't know how anybody can sit there and go, yes, I watched the film and this is why Jason Garrett's terrible. I don't know. I don't even try to admit that I know that crap. I don't know that stuff. So I don't pretend to know it, Again. Oh, here we go. It shows you who was open and who wasn't. Like I just said, how do you know that that's a first read? How do you know that the guy was missed? How do you know that he missed it? How do you know that that was where the route was supposed to go?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different variables. I mean, and like I said, I don't do it because for the same reason. It's like you and that's why I love Pro Football Focus so much. I mean, they talk about this and they chart this, but that's great that you chart it. But to your point, unless you know what's going on in that huddle, unless you know the play that's called, what if it's a busted route? I mean, right. What if, like I said, what if what if there was a sack and it was Will Hernandez missing the wrong block and Nate Solder went over to cover and that caused the sack, and it's not Nate's fault, because maybe Will missed his assignment. We don't know.
Right. Mike Gorga says, I can tell you what, well, that's a fact.
Yeah.
you don't need film to see that one, Mike. That's a fact. We just need to watch the game and we can see that one for sure, So here you go again. Exactly. So it's really dumb to just blame it on Jones. Who just blames it on Jones?
You do.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I just blamed it on Jones. Not being able to make reads. He has to have reads. Again, how do you know? How do you know what play is called? How do you know Daniel Jones just doesn't miss the read?
Yeah.
How do you know? And you can say, it shows who's open. I can guarantee you that there's always somebody open. And if not, he needs to throw them open. It doesn't, again, this doesn't make any sense. Nobody blames it just on Jones. But Jones is the quarterback. And to our point, and other content creators that have no problem criticizing Jones, you can't just make excuses for the guy every time he don't play well. And then when he does play well, go, God, this guy's freaking awesome.
I told you so.
That's the problem that I have, is that everybody looks for every excuse the offensive line stinks. Well, the offensive line played well. That was Jason Garrett's fault. Well, Jason Garrett called a good game. Daniel Jones played well, but everybody was injured, and that's why we lost. Come on. Like I said, tell me why against New Orleans, who had a good defense, Daniel Jones tore up for 400 yards, and why the previous week we scored 14 points against an Atlanta team that yielded 80 points the first two games. Why? Did Atlanta all of a sudden figure it out and New Orleans couldn't? What? I don't understand. I have a hard time understanding. Regardless of him being able to make reads or not, he's not making the reads, obviously. If 32 of his 35 games, he has 30 touchdowns and 27 picks. And I'm not even counting.
You're not even talking about the fumbles.
Exactly. I'm not even bringing up the fumbles. Because you asked what he's done better. That I think he's done better. I think he's protected the ball better. It was hard not to, honestly, because he fumbled a ton. But if you're asking me for something that I feel like he has progressed at, I do feel like he protects the ball better. He does have his moments, but I do feel like he has definitely gotten better with holding onto the ball. That is something that I do believe he's gotten better at, is being aware of it.
I think he's gotten better holding onto the ball outside of the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I still think he has ball security issues when he's in the pocket. I mean, he had another fumble in the pocket again last Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Right. And he had time to throw that one. So I don't know. It is what it is. Jeffrey says his time is dwindling, not looking good. O-line is poor, but it's not everything to a quarterback. Like I said, listen, Daniel Jones shows flashes. Daniel Jones has a crappy offensive line. Guys are hurt. I don't know what Jason Garrett is to him, what he's not. I don't know how much Jason Garrett believes in him. I don't know how much Joe Judge believes in him. We'll never know. We're not there. I don't know what the game plan is. I don't know why they plan it the way they do. Me personally, I would like to see Daniel Jones take more shots down the field. However, my biggest issue with these people that consistently talk about Daniel Jones is that they just make every excuse. And then when he does have a good game, it's, oh my God, he's great. But how come like I said, how come he's great one game and not great another? He has the same team.
But even when he has a bad game, though, he's still great. I mean,
I just don't.
That's the thing. I mean, but do you honestly think? I mean, and again, I'm just trying to figure this out. I mean, from a logical standpoint, how can you defend someone that has 110 yards, had 203 yards the week before? I mean, if you would see, Dak, and someone already brought up Dak having 84 yards and whatever in the first half. Mm-hmm. If Dak finished with 110 yards or 200 yards, Giant fans would be telling him he's a bum, he's terrible, he's blasting, oh, this and that. But when it's our quarterback, it's he can do no wrong. Even when he has a terrible game, it's everyone else's fault. Right. I mean, do you think there's I'm trying to think, is it potentially a generational thing? With the younger fans trying to hold on to the quarterback, and then the a little bit older generation actually seeing what's going on in front of you. Because like I said, I would just like to figure out, to your point, if he has a great game, the Daniel Jones neophytes, I call them, are all over it. It's wonderful, it's great. But even if he has a bad game, he still played well. He carried the 200 yards. He carried the team.
Right.
The defense carried the team. He played well enough for them not to lose. But I always just try to figure out why it's just one segment of fans, and it's not all, but they just can't see anything beyond him. He's playing well, and it's everyone else's fault but his.
Right. Yeah, it's strange. AB says, who runs the plays? Bad Dog DJ doesn't. Unless there's another quarterback out there that I'm not aware of, he does run the plays. He may not call the plays, but he certainly runs them. I don't know who else is running the plays. He's the quarterback. He is running every play. He's running every play. Fabian says, obviously, he's being held back to. So let me ask you guys this to think he's being held back due to coaching. So Pat Shurmur was great, right? Pat Shurmur is so Jason Garrett's the reason. So why was Daniel Jones, his rookie season, outside of 3 really good games, how did he have 11 touchdowns and 12 interceptions in the other 9 games? Not to and again, I don't even know how many fumbles he had. But why was he bad, or not? Maybe not bad, but why was he not good 75% of the time under Pat Shurmur? Was it Pat Shurmur's play call just those 9 games, and the other 3 games they called a perfect game? Is that what it is? So when Daniel Jones, like I said, against the Saints, did Jason Garrett just figure it out? Oh, hell, today I'm going to call a great game for Daniel Jones, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to make him throw for 200 yards against the Panthers. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry. Jason Garrett called the plays against the Saints. Jason Garrett called the plays against the Falcons.
Yep. Jason
Garrett called the plays against the Panthers and against the Raiders. So unless Jason Garrett just said, well, today we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. I just don't understand. I don't get it, but it is what it is. I don't know. That's my point. I don't quite understand why he's inconsistent. Oh, he was a rookie. So there's another excuse. So he was a rookie. Okay.
And last year was a sophomore jinx.
Right. And this year it's everything but. So why, again, answer the question. Why could he throw over 400 yards against New Orleans and only put up 14 against Atlanta? Because somebody gave me the answer to that. Tell me why.
Share the comments for you.
I'm waiting to hear that. 14 points against Atlanta, who gave up 80 points the previous 2 games, and then 402 yards against New Orleans in an overtime win. Can somebody answer that? Because those were week 3 and week 4. That was not week 1 and week 7, where the offense clicked and everything. Then now we're moving and grooving, or everybody was healthy that game because everybody was healthy against Atlanta too. Oh, it's coaching, of course. So the coaching completely changed from week 3 to week 4. It's just Jason Garrett decided today I'm going to hold Daniel Jones back, and this week I'm going to just let him go for it. That's what it is. It's a week-to-week league, of course. Of course. That's why. Yeah, and I love it. A guy says, come on now, Bad Dog. You're smarter than that. You're Y-O-U-R. The irony of that. Because it's a week-to-week league. So when he has a bad week, it's a week-to-week league, and it's Jason Garrett. But when he has a good week, well, yep, he's the franchise.
I just like it when in my comments when people call me idiot and they spell idiot wrong.
Yeah. Or they put the "your" there, the Y-O-U-R. It just doesn't make sense. The neophyte always blames the quarterback. Probably the most important position on any football team is the quarterback. The quarterback is going to get the glory. See, this is why, we're not neophytes. Quarterback gets all the glory. Quarterback gets all the blame. That is the position. That goes with the territory. Just like people criticizing me on the internet. Listen, if I couldn't handle criticism and listen to people call, you're a dumbass, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, you're stupid, I wouldn't be doing this. It goes.
You have nice people.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is.
Those are nice comments.
It is what it is. But it's just funny to me. I don't understand. I don't get it. It is what it is. But yeah, the Ravens are losing 15-3. It's pretty good. Marjorie says, question is, what is the solution then? Not getting a stupid quarterback over offensive line next year. He can't block for himself or throw to himself. I don't understand. I don't get it. How do you know that? Again, what was I still haven't got the answer to the difference between week 3 and week 4, except for it's a week-to-week league. That was the answer that we got. It's a week-to-week league.
Well, I think that just sums it up.
I guess. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about the second half here for a little while before I let you go. We know that the Giants did not have a good half. Let's face it, 3-6. There are a few plays here and there. We definitely should be 4-5. There's no question in my mind. The stupid jumping off sides by Dexter Lawrence cost us that game. There is no doubt. And usually I'll sit there and go, well, one play don't cost you a game. Literally, that
literally did cost you a game.
Did cost us a game. So I'll give us 4-5. Feasibly, we could have been 6-3. We were in 3 games. This is why, yes, I believe that Joe Judge is in a poor job because normally good coaching wins those games. We've won 2 of our last 3. What can we do? Now, we do have an easier schedule. This game against Tampa is very difficult. Eagles twice. I said in the video that I did today, I don't think that we're better than Philly. I don't think Philly's better than us. I think we both stink, and I think whoever executes in that game will win. We have Washington again. We should have beat them. They're terrible. The Bears are terrible. Miami is terrible. 5 games right there that we definitely have a chance to win. Dallas is going to be extremely difficult. Tampa Bay is going to be extremely difficult. And then Los Angeles, that's not going to be easy either.
Right.
What do we have to do? What needs to change for us to be a better team in the second half? And can anything change to make us a better team in the second half?
Well, I don't know if you're familiar with this phrase, and I don't know if you know this, but it's a week-to-week league. So anything could happen.
This is true.
I don't know. I mean, it's the Philly games, I have to admit, early on before the season started, I penciled those in as wins because I just assumed that Philadelphia was going to be a dumpster fire.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not. I mean, are they better than us? I'm not saying that, to your point, I don't know if they're better than us. I don't know if they're worse than us. I think they're kind of on the same level. So I was telling people I see a split, at least there. I'm giving a home away split. I don't think that the Miami game worries me because it's in Miami, and I always get concerned. And then we have to go over the next week to Los Angeles. So I get concerned about the Miami game because Miami, outside of their offense, has some players on defense. They just have not come together yet. But you can see over the last 2 weeks, Miami is kind of Brian Flores is kind of getting something together with the defense again. So I'm concerned about going over into Miami to take that game. I mean, I think our biggest issue is going to have to be, and it's going to be and land solely on Daniel Jones. He needs to find consistency. Mm-hmm. And if he can't find that, it's going to be detrimental. We're going to see some really bad plays out of him, and it's just not going to look right. But my other issue is we need to find the pass rush.
Right.
We cannot keep relying on the secondary to hold the extra few seconds for them to generate any type of rush. And right now, our rush is only coming from the interior of the line, outside of some plays from Ojulari, but we're still not getting anything. And you're going to run into some quarterbacks. Like I said, you're going to run into the Duck in LA. You're going to have Tom Brady. You're going to have guys that with Dak Prescott, you're going to have guys that are going to be able to find the holes in the zone if we're not going to have the consistency of getting any pressure on the quarterback. And if you're going to rely, Adoree Jackson had a good game last week, and it was his first, and to me, it was his first good game since he's been a Giant, like a really solid game.
Right. Is
he going to be that player for the rest of the second half of the season, or is he going to be the guy that was who he was the first 6-7 weeks of the season? James Bradbury's been way up and down, and now you lose Peppers. You still can rely on McKinney and Logan Ryan, and and Holmes and Love. So you still have some guys that can back you up, but you cannot rely on the secondary to carry this team, and then kind of hold your deficiencies between the line. And we're not even talking about the linebackers yet.
Right.
I mean, I've said it since the Cleveland preseason game. How do you beat the Giants? Off tackle left, off tackle right, up the middle, then go deep. And that seems to have been the game plan for almost every single team the entire season, because Cleveland showed everyone the way that you can attack the edges. And as soon as you attack the edges, you are going to find the soft spot in that zone. So I still think we're going to be a 7-win team. I mean, I think it's going to be an interesting second half of the season. I think a lot of these games are going to be close. And I think it's going to come down to either a Joe Judge mistake.
I hope not.
Or I hope not either. Or if Daniel Jones, and I've said this a million times, if Daniel Jones finds consistency, it could, the second half of the season could be extremely interesting. And that's why I laugh when people are like, well, you hate Daniel Jones. No, I don't hate him. I want him to succeed.
We all do.
Because if he doesn't succeed, we're not going to win, because I'm not going to sit there and tell you, well, yeah, Mike Glennon's my guy.
Right.
He wasn't the guy in Tampa. He wasn't the guy in Chicago. He wasn't the guy everyone else he went, but he's going to be he's the guy. But like I said, if Daniel Jones is consistent, we figure out a way to get a rush. I don't know how. And if the secondary keeps playing at a high level, 7 wins, potentially 8. But I just think it's a lost season, because you can't go 3-6 and then all of a sudden think you're going to turn around and make the playoffs, because I forget what the percentage is for a 3-6 teams that, to go into the playoffs. And I think it's something like 7% or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's not last year. Last year we might have had a chance at 3-6. We did.
Well, yeah, but I don't think Dallas is going to implode.
No, I don't think so either at all. For me, Saquon Barkley needs to be healthy, and Saquon Barkley needs to be able to run the ball. And we've seen Devontae Booker be able to do it. Saquon Barkley, and again, I don't know if you can change his running style. The guy needs to run more like Devontae Booker, more like Wayne Gallman did. If that hole is not there, take the 2 yards, take the 3 yards, run straight ahead, hit the hole. Don't dance around behind the line of scrimmage and try to make everything a touchdown. Saquon Barkley is able to run the ball. It'll make Daniel Jones better. It'll make the offensive line better because it'll alleviate some of the pass rush when you're like, we're getting pushed back on a consistent basis. It's to me, Saquon, and also you can use him in the passing game on checkdowns and everything else. And I think that helps a lot. Eli Manning in the last year of his career used Saquon Barkley as a security blanket. He had 90 some odd receptions.
Yeah.
And I think Saquon Barkley needs to be a massive part of what they do going forward. I think it'll help the offense a lot. And I think the defense needs to play the way they've been playing. Like I said, we have to find a pass rush. I don't know if that's possible. Again, after 9 games, you kind of are what you are. The defense really hasn't had a ton of injuries outside of Blake Martinez that have been really like debilitating. Leonard Williams has been healthy. Our secondary's been healthy. So again, I don't know exactly what we can do. I'm just looking at the fact that the schedule is easier. And I do think that we can beat a lot of these teams. And Miami just has a pick 6. Maybe let's call them that back. And they are. But Miami's playing a lot better tonight, too. So the defense is getting better. Irish, thank you, buddy. He says, Giants fans hope DJ will be good. He is not. Giants fans hope we get a better offensive line. Giants fans hope we win more games. Hope is not a long-term plan. All we can hope for is a cheap enema. Yeah, I mean, listen, I understand that. I think that a lot of that is fans wanting to believe in the future. And if they tell you, if we say Daniel Jones is no good, then what is the future of the Giants? There is no future. And maybe that's why they hold on to him the way they do. They want to believe in him so bad. They want to believe in something good, and they want to believe that he can do it. And I don't know. I don't know if he can or not. So far, I would say no. I don't know. I just, well, all I'm going to say is this. If say the Giants get rid of Jason Garrett next year, and they bring in a different offensive coordinator, and they draft offensive lineman, and he still stinks, then what's the excuse going to be? And I love these because I would guarantee you this kid is, I guarantee you this Corey Lewis Jr. is a kid. I'd almost guarantee, and when I say kid, under 21, I'm guessing. I don't think these guys understand football. Literally, you can be hot one week and cold the next. That doesn't mean you suck. Look at Josh Allen. Great point. Again, Daniel Jones has played 35 games in the NFL. He has had 3 great games.
Well, 4.
4, if you want to count the New Orleans game.
Yeah.
4 great games. What's the excuse for the other 31 games in his career that he's been terrible? I guess we don't understand football. So 4 really good games elevate him to elite status. But the other 31, throw him out. That's Garrett's fault. That's the offensive line, their injuries. So obviously we don't understand football because he's had 4 good weeks and 35 career games. So we don't know what the hell we're talking about.
I don't know. Football. What is that?
Yeah, I've never watched a game in my life. I don't know anything about football. You're right. I know nothing about it. I don't understand anything at all. No. Tim only worked in the NFL.
And
he don't know anything about it either.
But hey, you know what? It's the game with the round ball, right? The big round ball.
Yes, the one that you shoot in the basket, I think.
Oh,
is that what that is? Rugby. Or is it the one where with the puck, where they slap the puck around the ice?
Croquet?
Is that what it is? So you can easily point out excuses why 31 games weren't as good. This is where we're at with this fan base.
All right, you know what I want to do right now? I just thought about this. Let's go through every game. Let's just pull up this game up and let's go through every game because I want to know what the excuses are for each game.
31 out of 35 games haven't been good, or they've been average at best.
Average, and you got to give them that. Average
to below average, but there's excuses for all those. But the 4 games he was good, there is no excuse. He's just great. He's the next. He is the next Aaron Rodgers.
Well, he played above the coaching staff and everything else.
Yeah,
they were. You forgot they were holding him back.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I don't understand this. Afghanistan says if DJ fails in an O-line that's around league average, then it's certain another quarterback in his place with a much better offensive line. I'm listening. Offensive line, I say it all the time. It's a problem. Nobody's sitting there telling you the offensive line is good.
No, I mean it's not the only problem. I mean, but it's also, I mean, you know what I was thinking about this the other day though. Why don't the Giants ever run the draw? I mean, if your line is so porous and you know you're going to get pressure from the edges, I mean, why don't you take a page out of Kelvin Gilbright's offense and run the draw once in a while?
I always say they should run some misdirection stuff.
Yeah.
Because it does alleviate if the offense, if they're going in one way and they're getting a lot of penetration, that's when you take, like we do with the Eagles with Daniel Jones, when you take advantage of the over aggressiveness of the defense, or the fact that that's also why screen passes work. When they're getting a big rush up the field, you throw a screen pass, and if you execute it properly, especially with a guy like Saquon Barkley, they can turn into big plays. I like this one too. He says, it's nice to see Tim and Bad Dog mocking the people who support him. Yes. So when somebody criticizes me, Mike, I can't lash out. I can't defend myself. No, I just have to sit there and take it. I'm sorry, buddy. I ain't that guy. You come at me and I want to defend myself or call you out. You're going to call me out, but don't respond. Nah, I'm going to respond. I may be an asshole. People, you're going to know where you stand with me. That's how it goes. I know today's generation is soft and you can't defend yourself. I do. So that's too bad. You don't like it? You don't need to be here. And that's a fact. I don't tell people to subscribe to this. Well, I do, but you don't have to. You don't have to watch. You don't have to be here. I know, but I don't ever say you got to come to my streams. But mocking somebody is not mocking somebody. When I make a point that 31 of 35 games went terrible, and then somebody goes, you can make excuses for the 31 games. Are you serious, Mike? Are you serious? You're mocking them because you just said 31 games have been bad. Come on, man. Come on. And you're older. I expect better of you.
All I have to say is this, Mike, you need to just come to my channel because we are much more calm. We're much more influencing. We don't mock or make fun of people. I would say then stay the hell away from me.
It's crazy. You know, I don't understand that. As soon as somebody says something, you're not allowed to respond ever. No, of course not. No, that's society today. It's the internet. You know, I'm going to cyberbully you, but God forbid you respond to me. Then I got to play the victim. It's now crazy.
You're understanding. Now you're getting
I understand now. I guess I don't understand football, but I understand that
because it's a week-to-week league. You're all right.
Yeah. It's crazy. Here the plug says, speak the truth. Listen, I don't ever say I speak the truth. I speak my opinion. That's all it is. So if somebody has a difference of opinion with me, I'm allowed to debate or argue my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm mocking somebody at all. It means I'm arguing my point and telling you why I feel the way I do. It's that simple. People get butthurt about that. What can I do? That's not my fault. It's not my fault at all. But my point is, when people say it's a week-to-week league, and most of the time he's average or below average, I don't understand how you can just say 4 games, he's great because of this, but the other 31, you're going to make excuses. You can make excuses for the other 31 games, but you don't have to make an excuse for the 4 games that he was really good. I have a hard time understanding that philosophy.
And is it really a week-to-week league if you have a bye week? Because then you have a week off.
Right. He had a good week this week.
Yeah, I know. No interceptions, no fumbles.
AB, I agree. You don't get any argument here. Neither Tim or myself are saying that we have a good offensive line. Our offensive line sucks.
Yeah.
But again, it's not every play. He has time to throw sometimes. Listen, there are times he has no chance. And I'm not going to go, oh, God, he didn't even get to his back step and he got blindsided and lost a fumble. Oh, he sucks. Like, I don't do that. I'm like, the guy had no chance. What do you want him to do? But when he has over 3 seconds and the edge rush is coming and he doesn't feel it when there's no pressure up the middle and he has a pocket to step up into and throw and he fumbles, to me, that's not a good play. That one is on Daniel Jones. My whole thing is this. You can think Daniel Jones is great, and that's fine, or think he's the franchise quarterback of the future, and that's fine. I'm not going to argue that. I don't believe that, but I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. My point is, when he's bad or when he messes up, can you give the guy blame now and again? Stop making every excuse in the book when he makes a bad play or makes a mistake and go, well, that wasn't his fault. That was Kadarius Toney ran the wrong route, or Jason Garrett called a terrible play, or he only had 3 seconds to throw it instead of 5 seconds to throw it. Can you just go, he missed the throw? Can you just say he missed that throw? He threw a bad pass. How about the interception against Kansas City? Whose fault was that? We get a big goal line stand. We get the ball back, and the first pass he throws is an interception. Yep. Was that Jason Garrett's fault? Was that the offensive line's fault? No. Watch the play. He stared down the receiver, and the corner jumped around. I mean, come on. That's all I'm asking. I feel like I'm fair with Daniel Jones. When he plays well, I give him all the credit in the world. I want Daniel Jones to succeed. I've always said I like Daniel Jones' skill set. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not saying his skill set stinks, but I've been saying for years, it's in between here. Can he get this together? Can he be consistent? Can he make the throws when he has to make them? Can he read the defenses? Can he adjust blocking schemes to get the players in the right spot? Can he do all this stuff? So far, to me, he hasn't shown that he can. And we're talking year 3. He's not a rookie anymore. That's my point. Do I not make mistakes at work?
Never.
Of course I do. I make mistakes every time. Listen, what does this even mean? Of course I do. I'm wrong a lot. I'm human. This is the problem. Nobody can admit they're wrong. That these kids are like, I'm never wrong. Yes, you are. You will be wrong because I'm married. Trust me, I'm wrong every day of my life. My wife reminds me of that. Tim, you know this.
Oh, I was going to say, I'm never right.
Exactly. Even when we're right, we're not right. They don't even admit it. They don't admit it. So, of course, I make mistakes at work. I make mistakes at work. I make mistakes at the gym. I make mistakes in life. You learn from them. That's the thing. You learn from them. Yep. You don't continue to make the same mistakes, whether you're working in finance like I do, or you run over something that you shouldn't have run over with a lawnmower. You don't run that over again, right? I cut that curb a little bit too close and ran over it. You don't do that again. So if Daniel Jones makes mistakes, fine. He can't keep making the same mistake. That is my whole point. My whole point. Of course I make mistakes. Find me somebody that don't make a mistake, they're going to be dead. They're underground, right? They ain't living.
Well, the problem is they may have made a mistake to be underground.
That's a fact too. They can't make mistakes. That's the only way you're not making a mistake. When you are at any point in your life, you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I don't care what you're doing. Like I said, I don't care if you're the quarterback of the Giants. I don't care if you're a guy that works a 9-to-5 job like me or whatever else you do in life. You are going to be wrong. You just have to learn to admit, yeah, I was wrong, and not do it again.
But that's the thing. You need to learn from your mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. I make at least 12 mistakes a day, but I don't keep making the same ones over and over again. And if you're doing it on a big stage and you continuously do the same things and you're not improving, it's not that we're slighting you for that or attacking you from that. We're just pointing. I mean, I've done videos where I say wonderful things for Daniel Jones for 10 minutes. And then I say one thing that he could improve on, and I'm a hater.
Right.
No, I'm not hating against him. I just understand that you are the quarterback of the New York Giants. Mm-hmm. We've seen bad quarterback play. We've seen but you know what? Eli Manning was horrid in 2004. Right. And he progressed the next year, but then he kind of fell off he came down to earth a little bit again. And why? Because he was making the big mistake. He was he was throwing the interceptions. And everyone was always, before 2007, and even in 2007, everyone wanted to get rid of Eli. Yep. And I was in the same boat because of the fact that he didn't seem like he was learning from what he was doing. And that's my biggest thing with Daniel Jones is it's not that he makes the mistakes. He just repeatedly makes the same mistakes. And it gets frustrating because it's like, you're in year 3. When are you going to learn that you need to not do these things and make yourself a better player to help your team and put your team in a position to win? And I've said it a million times. I think it's the Joe Judge philosophy that's going down to Jason Garrett saying, don't let Daniel Jones be the one that beats us.
Right. Yeah. And again, we don't know because we're not there, but That's my whole point. So Corey got to my entire point. Yeah, of course I make mistakes. And the thing is, I have no problem admitting I'm wrong because I'm going to be wrong again. And that's just human nature. You are going to be wrong. To be human, to err is to be human. That is just a fact. Everybody F's up. Every single person. There is nobody perfect on the face of this planet. Tutto grazie, says salute paisan. They drop by office to pay our proper respects and toying on the lights and to sit down and slap all them stinky Eagle fans out of the way. I hope in 2 weeks we're slapping them out of the way. Too. 2 weeks out. So, Irish, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says, we're all Giants fans. We all love our team. We're all frustrated with this season. We expected better. We're all frustrated with the last decade, if we're being fair. Irish Rover.
Yeah, man,
and yeah, we were 6-3. We're probably singing a totally different tune.
Oh yeah, then you know what? Then the mistakes aren't as glaring. But that's the thing. Winning cures everything.
Right.
How many? I mean, there's been plenty of times in this league that there were bad 6-3 teams, and they made the mistakes, but they still won the game.
Yeah.
But that doesn't still make them a great team or a good team because you've seen teams that then fell apart in the second half. I mean, my thing is this: everyone, and to your point, you said it eloquently before. I mean, it's our opinion, right? It's we're not speaking facts here. We're not speaking from a professional NFL perspective. I always say I'm an idiot on YouTube. That's
all I am too. I say I'm a guy on YouTube. That's
why I say that all the time. I say, you know what? It's always just, it's my opinion, what I think. And as you want us to respect your opinion, I think it should vice versa. I should go the same way that, when we have an opinion, if you don't disagree with it, I always tell people this all the time. If you don't disagree, if you disagree with me, that's fine. But don't just say you disagree with me because I'm wrong and I'm stupid.
Right.
I always say, just tell me your opinion. Tell me why I'm wrong. And then maybe I change my opinion, but more likely I'm not going to because I have formulate my own opinion, but I respect everyone's opinions. Like I would hope, well, not always people do, but I would hope they would respect that it's just my opinion and it's not coming from anything factual based because like I said, we don't work for the organization.
Right. Exactly. So all we can do is give our opinion on what we see, and everybody's going to see something different. I mean, in fact, look at life, right? Yeah. Every man finds different types of women attractive. Everybody has their own taste. So everybody sees different things on the football field. Everybody sees different things in life. Some people like a certain car. Some people like another certain. Doesn't mean because you like, a Mercedes Benz and I prefer a BMW, doesn't mean you're wrong, bad dog. Why do you want a BMW over Mercedes Benz? Benz is better. That's your opinion. It doesn't make it factual. Personally, I like driving my Nissan Rogue. We all know pimps driving Nissan Rogue. Let's be honest about it. But I can't afford a BMW or a Mercedes Benz. But that's my point. It's just an opinion. But people get so bent out of shape. You're so stupid because you believe this. No, I'm not. I don't just come on here. Listen, I tell you why. Like you just said, Tim, I'm telling you why I believe what I believe about Daniel Jones. I'm not just coming on here and go, he sucks. He sucks. And that's all I got. He sucks because he sucks. He sucks because we're not winning.
He sucks because I don't like him.
Right. And somebody just said, I wish they would just admit they don't like Daniel Jones. I love Daniel Jones. I have a Daniel Jones jersey. I was one of the first people to have a Daniel Jones jersey. A lot of people actually think that I coined the frame Danny Dimes. I know I was one of the first people to say it.
Here we go.
Right.
I'll just keep this.
I have done not. The reason I say this all the time, the reason I am so hard on Daniel Jones is because I like Daniel Jones. And I expect more of Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
It's called tough love. It's what it is. I'm sorry, but that's tough love. Criticism is tough love. It is what it is. You learn from your mistakes. I don't feel like he has. Maybe he does. Maybe in the second half he figures it out. Maybe next year he figures it out. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. But by the end of next year, again, do we want to give him $150 million for 5 years? Saying, well, maybe it is because of all this stuff. And if we fix it, then he will be good. But you don't know? Do you really know? Have you seen him with all this stuff? Do you really know that that's going to make it any better? Because again, you can talk about the game in New Orleans, but then you can look at the game against Atlanta. It's the same teams.
Yeah.
It's the same team. James, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says, I don't think DJ's a franchise, but he's good if the offensive line is good. I mean, he has good games. He has good plays. He has good drives. But it's not, again, guys, against the Raiders, We scored 1 offensive touchdown and 3 field goals. We don't put the ball into the end zone. That's Daniel Jones' biggest problem, in my opinion, is the red zone.
Well, he plays well between the 20s at times.
Right.
And I've said that a million times, but as soon as he gets into, I've said it, I don't know how many times, I want him to score when he hits the 21-yard line, just score from there, because I don't want you inside the red zone. Because for some reason, and some of it can be play calling, some of it could be this, some of it could be offensive line, but at the end of the day, it falls on the quarterback. It falls on your field general. It falls on the guy that you're paying X amount of money to facilitate the plays, because last time I checked, the first person that touched the ball after the ball is snapped is the quarterback, and it's his decision what to do with it from there.
Right. Tyler, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says, why are people getting butthurt on your opinion? I don't think they're getting butthurt. I don't like the guy that says we were mocking somebody when we were giving our opinion. When I said that 31, how can you make an excuse? When he says you can make excuses for the 31 out of 35 games that he's been average or below average. I just don't understand. I don't understand that comment. I mean, to me, that's just a troll comment. That's just somebody trolling me. So that comment, in my opinion, deserved to be, and I didn't even mock it, but somebody thought I did. But that's my point. If I'm not going to let you off the hook. It's not me. I'm not that guy. I will let you know how I feel. It's a fact of the matter. People may think I'm an asshole. That's fine. But you always know where you stand with me. I'm not going to sit here and be sweet to your face and then crap talking behind your back. I'm going to let you know how I feel. I'd much rather somebody be that way with me, honestly. And that's just the way it goes.
Well, I always tell people that. I said, I am who I am. And and people are always like, well, are you any different when you're not on YouTube? No, I'm the same guy.
Same here.
I'm no different. If anything, I'm probably worse than when I'm not on YouTube, because then I really speak my opinion.
Right.
And, but again, like I said, it's not that you're being negative. It's not that you're being positive. You are just giving your perspective
exactly
of a situation of a football team in the NFL on a social media network. If you take this too seriously, and a lot of people do, and I respect, and I still respect those people's opinions that take it way too seriously, but it's a game.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, Daniel Jones is not watching this and going, oh my God,
right,
they're so horrible to me.
Right. Exactly.
I said it the other day. I said, it was bad to say. I said, Daniel Jones, I think, needs to get laid. I said, that's what I think. I think he needs to get it out of his system. He's a single guy. Get the stress out. Go be carefree, and then maybe
just not before the game, because that'll tire you out.
Well, that could tire you out. Well, it could energize him too. I don't know.
It could. It could relax him.
It could relax him. But that's the thing. He just
maybe that's what he needs.
That's what I'm saying.
Now you know what? Now we figured it out. He needs to get laid.
Saying thank you.
That is the excuse. No Garrett, no line, no Judge, no her injuries. He needs to get laid. We finally figured it out. Now,
now you get it.
Now we have to get him laid. Well, now we have to get him laid. That's the tough part.
That's a tough part. Being two married men, I don't think that's going to work out too well.
James Tortorella, thank you, buddy. So what do you have to stay positive about the team? Listen, this is the thing. People always say, you're negative, bad dog. You're negative. Do you think let me ask you this. Do you think if we were 7-2 and blowing the doors off of people, that I would still be criticizing the team? Do you think that I'd be like, we're 7-2, but Jesus, we should be 9-0? Or no? Absolutely not. When we win a game, I did mention that Daniel Jones that 110 yards is not a great performance in a win. I did mention that, but that to me, that's a fact. Okay. But when we had the win against New Orleans, go back and watch it and listen to the way I rave about Daniel Jones. And then the next day I come out with the video saying, I like it. Was it a fluke? Did he turn a corner? He has to do this more consistently. That's all I said. But when he plays well, I give him all the credit in the world. I don't go, well, he threw for 402 yards, but he missed this throw. I don't do that. I just feel like Tim said, I give you my honest opinion of what I see every day. People want to consider that negative. Fine. We're 3-6 guys. We have not been over 500 at any time in any season since 2016. There really hasn't been much to be positive about. We have a terrible offensive line. We have a bunch of players that can't stay healthy. We are maxed out on cap space. We don't know what's going on with our front office or our coaching staff. And some people want to believe in Daniel Jones. Some people don't. To me, the fan base is split wherever it's split. We don't know what the hell he is. Everybody says, well, if he had this and he had this, we don't know that because he doesn't have that. So we don't know what he's going to be if that ever, even if it comes to fruition. So I look at it and go, this is where we are. 3-6. We won 2 or 3. We have an easy schedule. I was being a positive outlook. But there you go. I don't know what to say when you're having over 500 in 5 years. It's hard to say something positive about it, you know? Tutto Grazie, buddy, says nothing in the world feels better than bullying and harassing all Eagle fans who showed him who's the boss, and you won't see him smiling no more. Tutto hates the Eagles more than I do. I know.
I know.
He hates the Eagles. James says Giants don't make the playoffs until 2025. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't.
Well, if you know, and actually, I said they may not make it to 2024 because of the fact that, you know, and if you don't make, and this, we've said this a million times, the Giants pushed all their chips into the middle of the table this season.
They did.
They spent all their cap space. They went out to get the weapons they needed. Yes. They tried to fix their issues, and they knew that 2022 was going to be a horrid year for the cap space. Yeah. So, you know, and honestly, if you look at it from perspective, unless they strike gold in the draft, it could still be a couple of years before they make that progression. But you don't know, because like I said, we don't know if Daniel Jones is going to turn the corner. We don't know if Saquon Barkley is going to come back. We don't know if Leonard Williams is going to kick it up a level. We don't know if, you know, Dexter Lawrence is going to figure out how to play without Dalvin Tomlinson. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. And I hope that they progress. I hope they make the playoffs. I 100% hope I'm wrong about everything.
Me too. I always, when I'm criticizing the team or I think they're not going to do something, I'm always hoping that I'm wrong. Always. You can't predict the future, but the only way you can you can't predict it perfectly. Obviously, nobody knows, or I'd be a millionaire because I would know the lottery. Okay. All you can base your opinion on going forward is what's happened in the past. And again, this is not a 1 or 2 game thing. If the Giants were 11-5 a couple of years ago and they were 12-4 last year and we're having a bad year and I'm ripping the team, then you could get on my case about your negative. Okay. But the fact of the matter is we have not won 10 games, but one time since 2013. So I'm sorry, since 2010.
10.
Oh no, we won. Yeah. 2010, we were 10-6. Yeah. We haven't won 10 games in a season, outside of one time in 2016. Since 2010. We did win a Super Bowl, which was awesome, but this team hasn't been good in a decade. So it doesn't look like there's any signs of improving. If you guys see signs of improvement, awesome. I would love to know what you see that makes you think they're going to be better than 3-6 outside of the fact that their schedule is a little bit easier. I don't know. AJ, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says, will the offense improve in the second half of the season? Well, we just kind of discussed that.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of also is going to depend on, you know, I mean, I always hate using the injuries as an excuse because I've always been under the philosophy it's always the next man up. But if you are going to get back your skill players, if Evan Ingram is going to potentially, you know, all of a sudden catch lightning in a bottle and try to get that contract for next season, I mean, I think the offense has got to get somewhat better as long as, and again, going to be mean, as long as Daniel Jones gets the ball downfield.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. Zuhaib, thank you, buddy. Zuhaib's a chameleon. Change his picture. What's your end of season predictions? Well, at the beginning of the year, I picked us to win 9 or 10 games. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think Tim said 7. I think we can win 8. Honestly, I really do believe that. And again, I think we can win these games. We go into against Tampa. I always think we can win every game. Is it likely against Tampa? No. Is it likely against Dallas? No. But Eagles twice, Washington, Bears, Miami. I think that we can win those games. Will we? We have to find out. But I would think that we can win those 5 games. So I'm going to say 8 and 9. I think that we can win 8 games if we get healthy and Daniel Jones is more consistent. 8 and 9, and the defense continues to play the way it has or get better. I think 8 and 9 is possible. I don't think that any of these offenses outside of Tampa Bay and Dallas and Los Angeles are great. The Bears offense is not good. The Eagles offense is not good. The Miami offense is not good. Washington's offense is terrible. Our defense is the strongest part of our team. I think 8 wins is possible. That's what I think.
As Miami just beat the Ravens.
Right. But not because of the offense. The defense played well. James, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says DJ's as good as Hostetler or Collins. Hostetler won a Super Bowl. Yeah. Collins played in a Super Bowl. Let's listen. If Daniel Jones gets us to a Super Bowl,
then he's good. Then he's right up there.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love him to be as good as Kerry Collins.
Yeah.
Kerry Collins is good. Kerry Collins is good for us. You know, Kerry Collins got us out of the '90s with the Danny Cannells and the Dave Browns and the Kent Grahams that were terrible. Although I think it was Kent Graham that beat the '98 Broncos that were 13.
Yes, he did. He actually did. That the undefeated season going on there.
Monty Toomer.
Yeah.
Also, guys, I'll say this about the Giants. You've had two legendary Giants come out here, and Amani Toomer and then Michael Strahan.
Yeah.
Pretty much say we're terrible. So, yeah. And I said this when I did the Amani Toomer video. It means nothing coming from me. I'm a nobody on YouTube. I am a nobody. I am a fan. I am like everybody in his chat. I'm like Tim. I'm like every guy or woman on the face of the earth that roots for the New York Giants. I am just a fan. I am nobody special. Okay. But when it comes from guys like Michael Strahan and Amani Toomer, who won Super Bowls with this team, a guy that's had his number retired and is a Hall of Famer in Michael Strahan, when he comes out and just goes, we suck.
Yeah.
I think that holds weight. And when Lawrence Taylor came out last year and said this team has no identity, I think those things hold weight from former players, from legendary New York Giants. You know, not a guy like Tim Carter, who I thought Tim Carter was going to be a great receiver for the Giants. He sucked. But, not a guy like Tim Carter, not a guy like Steve Smith, who played here for a couple of years. We're talking about legendary Giants. When they see the team stinks, I think that holds a lot of water. I really do. Tutto grazie, buddy. Thank you so much, man. He says, we ask all Eagle fans a link to take off their jerseys, throw it on the ground and step on it. If they don't, we'll do it for them in a little more. He hates the Eagles. Tutto needs to play with the Giants. Ingham, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. He says three players, actually. Toomer, Strahan, and me. A quick story, and then I'm going to let you go. You talking about Eli Manning and not thinking he was the guy after the first couple of years. And a lot of Giants fans were down on Eli. I've told this story before in the chat, and I don't know if you've heard this. I went to the game against Minnesota in 2007 when he threw 4 interceptions and 3 pick sixes. And they got blown out 42-17. I can vividly remember leaving the game, going out through the parking lot, and seeing a guy burn an Eli Manning jersey. I vividly remember the dude just throwing gasoline on it and chucking a match on it and burning it. And I remember at the end of the year when he won the Super Bowl, I go, bet you that guy feels stupid. But yeah, listen, Eli Manning struggled his first 4 years in the league. People want to say that, and it's a fair point. The only difference I'll say is Eli showed early on that he could bring us down and win games when it mattered. His first 4 years in the league, we did have a winning record.
Yeah.
Won a Super Bowl MVP. But Kevin Gilbride also had the dude throwing a lot of 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, and I think a lot of people forget about that with Kevin Gilbride. I mean, Kevin Gilbride, I've said that a million times, he made Eli a gunslinger. Yeah, I mean, there was not a pass that he did not want to throw 50, 60 yards downfield with Eli. And that contributed a lot to his interceptions, especially early on, because I've made the point that, when Gilbride left, you look at Eli's career outside that one season where he had the 27 interceptions, they went more to the, West Coast type style. It's 30 touchdowns, 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. His
completion percentage was much higher.
Way up. I mean, a lot of it, if you want to talk about Jason Garrett holding back Daniel Jones, you can say that Eli Manning's beginning part of half of his career was somewhat to a detriment with Kevin Gilbride because of the way he was using him in the offense.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. So on that note, we are going to end the stream. Yes, it does get a little heated. And listen, I'm a freaking New York Italian guy. What the hell do you expect from me? That's the way I was brought up. This is the way it is. Yeah, so, I appreciate all you guys and girls being here. And again, I say this all the time. We're not going to agree on everything. That is just a fact. And I wouldn't want everybody to agree with me. That's no fun. It's boring if everybody says, you're right, bad dog, you're right. Yup, I agree. I want some people to say you're wrong. But again, like Tim said, tell me why. And I will respect your opinion, but I would hope that you would respect mine as well. The fact of the matter is, we're all freaking frustrated with this team. We're all sick and tired of seeing them lose. We're all sick and tired of them being a meme. We're all sick and tired of them being a speed bump and getting no respect from anybody, the media, the other and then again, I didn't care about the other fan bases. We could win Super Bowls and they didn't give us respect. But I'm sick and tired of teams not respecting us. Think it's going to be an easy win. The pundits always saying they're going to go 3-14. This team sucks. I don't care about PFF, but they're the worst at this or the worst of that. I'm sick of hearing it. I want to win. I'm sick and tired of losing. I can't stand to lose. I'm a competitive guy in everything I do. I don't play for the Giants, but they are my team, and I do root for them. And I want to be able to say my team is better than yours. And unfortunately, for the last 5 years, I've been able to say that to many people at all outside of maybe Washington. So I know this is what it is, and I know that the fan base is going to be split, and I know we're going to have different opinions, and I know we're going to debate, and we're going to argue. If we were a better team, this wouldn't be happening. So hopefully, the second half of the season, this team builds on what it did the last 3 games, because, again, we could have beat Kansas City. We were right in that game of Kansas City. Hopefully, they played better the last 3 weeks. Hopefully, they can continue to improve going forward, and this team gets better, and they give us a reason to believe that they've turned a corner. That's all I got to say about it. Tim, any closing comments?
I think I have to be kinder and gentler now on my channel. I feel bad now. Oh my God. I knew it was bad before. my you know, and I'm just being an ass. And a lot of times people, I'm not being an ass. I'm just extremely sarcastic.
Me too.
And you know what? I want the Giants to win. Bad Dog wants the Giants to win. That's it. And like I said, I always tell people, just respect each other, respect everyone else's opinions, because you know what? It's just your opinion. It's just my opinion. And at the end of the day, our opinions don't really matter. It's what's going to be the final score on the scoreboard of what matters for the Giants. And once they start winning, you know, I mean, you know, there'll be something good to talk about. And there's been good stuff to talk about this season. Yeah. But we just need to continue that. We need to progress with that. And like I said, it's just, my thing is this, and I know, and I don't want to speak for you, but my thing is this, it's just a mutual respect thing. You know, all the content creators that take their time out of their days, because you know, it's shockingly, we do other things. I mean, I'm not making millions of dollars doing this, so that, you know, there's other things going on in life. So this is a passion for us, not only because we want to create content for other people, but we're fans and we want to talk about what our teams are. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's all we are. We're all Giant fans, and you know, let's try. You know, let's see what the season takes us. Because, like I said, I'm saying 7 wins. You're saying 8 to 9. Hell, it could be 11 for all we know.
Yep, that's a fact. And yeah, I mean, also for me anyway, it's a place for me to vent. My wife don't want to hear me talk about the Giants. My kid's 4 years old. He don't know anything about the Giants. But like you said, yeah, I'm married. I have a 4-year-old kid. I work a full-time job, and I stay up until midnight or sometimes 1 o'clock in the morning doing content, because it's the one opportunity that I have to do it. And I don't get much sleep, but I love the people that support my channel, whether they agree or disagree, because without you guys and girls, my channel ain't nothing. And I know that. Listen, it doesn't matter. I could have 10 million subscribers. That'll never happen, but I will never change. It won't matter. I'll be the same guy. I'm always going to be the same guy. I'm too old and set in my ways to change. Can't teach an old dog new tricks, especially this bad dog ain't teaching me new tricks. But Tim, I do appreciate you coming on the channel. It's always fun chopping it up with you. You know, hopefully we do get better going forward, and hopefully our videos on Daniel Jones get a little bit nicer. That would be the best thing that ever happened. If you guys haven't done so, one more time, Tim's link is in the description. Please subscribe to him. Go over there, check out his channel. Does great work over there. And, you know, everybody have a good night, Tim. I look forward to working with you soon. So for Online Big Blue Sports, Tim, Bad Diggy Dizzle, we gone. Peace.